Now we will discuss the quality of water and wastewater treatment in food processing plants. So the amount of water that is used nowadays in processing plants, it is increasing. The reason for that is the widespread mechanization of harvesting operations. Then raw agriculture produce that arrive at food processing plant, they would be requiring larger quantities of water for cleaning, because if they are coming directly from field, they might have mud, soil, and other materials. So the water has to be used for cleaning of these raw materials coming directly from field. So that is one of the reasons that higher amounts of water have been used nowadays in processing plants. So if you look at the water use within plant, there are variety of different operations for which this water has to be used. For example, the product operations such as conveying, peeling, blanching, cooling, or generation of steams. So these are examples of some of the steps in which water has to be used. And if we keep on increasing these number of steps in a particular processing plant, the amount of water that is used, that would be going higher and higher. We also need water for cleaning and sanitation purposes as well. We might be cleaning the floors, the walls and ceilings, or maybe equipment washing has to be involved as well. It all depends upon the kind of processing plant or product we are talking about. But this all has got implication on the amount of water that is used, because that would be an important element in cost reduction as well. If we can cope up with less amount of water, having same amount of same quality of end product, that would be highly desirable, because if this water is a higher amount of water is used, is going to add cost, and then we have to add another cost at the end for wastewater treatment as well. So in order to optimize this amount of water used in processing plants, we have to actually look at the efficient ways to use the water so that it is sufficient and it is minimum enough to maintain the product quality, as well as to maintain the safety and to assure good quality of end products. So if we talk about what should be the quality of water in a processing plant, so answer would be it would depend upon the function that we want to achieve from the use of water in a processing plant. For example, the quality of water that is used for incoming raw material, for washing of that incoming raw material, that has to be different, I would say comparatively lower for the another product. For example, for making water that is used for making carbonated beverages or other beverages such as beers or bottled drinking water. So there have to be more quality checks at that kind of water as compared to the water that is used for washing of raw materials. So it would depend upon the function of water that we are getting within the processing plant. So talking about the treatment of food water, this hard water, we have to look at the water, the mechanism by which we actually treat different kinds of water. So if we might have the groundwater or available water that is hard in nature due to the presence of different salts and solids. So the process that is involved for treatment of hard water, it would involve these steps such as precipitation. So we would try to precipitate these salts, excessive salts that are present in water. Then ion exchange is used to selectively remove specific mineral salts from this water. We can also use this distillation operation in which we would not be having any salt in the final product. But this would be expensive, so it would depend upon why would you need this operation for water treatment. Then reverse osmosis is another way of treating water. So most of your bottled water would have to pass through this RO plants for treatment. So if we talk about another kind of water, for example, this turbid water. So how we treat this turbid water, which is not clear, there is turbidity or opaqueness in the water. That means there are more solids, there might be more mud as well. So this involves these steps such as coagulation. So we add a coagulation material that would facilitate these internal salts and particles to coagulate together into larger particles. And then we allow it to settle for some time, in which these flocculation takes place. So there are more flock formation within water, and then after some time these flock, due to the heavier weight, they might sediment at the bottom of these tanks in which this turbid water is being treated. And the last step would be filtration of this water, because once it has been excessive salt has been sedimented, then filtration would have to apply lesser resources or lesser efforts to clean that water. So if there are organic material present within water, what are the effects of them? They are going to produce undesirable changes, such as they produce off flavors, off odors, and off colors. So these are the three undesirable changes that we don't want from the water that has to be used within the industrial processing. So we normally remove this through activated carbon adsorption. This is also called as charcoal or activated carbon. It has got very large surface area, and it has got very strong adhesion power, so it would be absorbing most of the odors as well as colors from the water. So these are very routinely used filtering aids. So now let's talk about wastewater treatment. The wastewater, of course, would be different than the incoming water, as we earlier discussed. So the primary treatment of this is a physico-chemical process that would involve sedimentation in every kind of wastewater treatment. The secondary treatment would involve the biological treatment with sedimentation. So we would be applying certain biological mechanisms as well. And the third step would be tertiary treatment that involves removal of residuals, non-biodegradable materials, because they cannot be degraded by biological steps. For example, use of different microorganisms, they have to be filtered by filtering aids. So as I said, this dissolved organic matter in the wastewater has to be removed by biological treatment and adsorption. If we have this dissolved inorganic material, that would be requiring more treatments like ion exchange or reverse osmosis or evaporation and distillation, because this inorganic material would not be removed by biological adsorption or treatment. And then if we have any suspended organic matter, that can be removed by biological treatment methods again. Then if we have to have other processes, they can be screening, sedimentation, filtration, and coagulation as well. So it would be very much dependent upon the nature of that wastewater that is being produced in a processing plant and the load of that organic material or inorganic material that is present. So that would decide actually what kind of operation has to be adopted to treat that wastewater. So this is how we actually look at the quality of water that is used in an industry for processing, as well as how we treat the wastewater or effluent water that comes out from these food processing plants.